Bright QT. Every student matters.
Next was the Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan. So this scheme was launched in March 2009, and the objective of this scheme was to enhance secondary education. So where Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan was elementary education, this Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha was the secondary education. The implementation of this scheme started from 2009 2010, and this scheme wanted or aimed at achieving an admission rate of 75%. Initially, it was 52.26%, and they wanted to grow till 75%. And that was the ultimate objective of this. The other objectives of Rashtriya Madhyamik, Abhiyan was to improve the quality of education which was given to the students at secondary level. The education which was supplied to them was supposed to conform to the norms, no gender, no socioeconomic background, no disability, no barriers, no disruption altogether was supposed to be a part of it. And that this program aimed that by the end of 12th fifth year plan, they wanted universal retention by 2020. So this is what they aimed at. Now, what were some of the physical facilities that were provided under this scheme? Additional classrooms, laboratories, libraries, art and craft room, toilets, drinking water, hostels for teachers who lived in remote areas. Now, what were the qualities? What were some of the things that ensured a better quality of education? The appointment of additional teachers so that the parents teacher ratio came down to 30:1. So one teacher for the 30 parents or 30 students. A lot of focus to be laid on maths, science, and English education. The in-service, training of the teachers, introduction of science laboratories, ICT, that is information technology, to be enabled in the education, some curriculum to be changed and made flexible from time to time, teaching methodologies to be made better. What were some of the other implementations, that made the scheme favorable and possible? Planning to be taken place at micro level, from the grassroot level, the things to be planned. Preference to be given to ashram schools so that they could be upgraded and made better. Preference to be given to SC, ST, and the minority classes. Special enrollment admission to be initiated for the weaker section of the society. More female teachers to be incorporated in the schools, and separate toilets for the girls. Now, how was the entire scheme implemented? How did the entire scheme work? So the entire scheme was implemented by the state government. The central government did have a share in it, but it was not direct. So the state share, basically it was a mixed cooperation of both the state as well as the central government, aiming at the overall development of the country, of the students. Now, there were certain norms, there were certain rules that were revised. What were that? The state and the union territories governments were permitted to use the state schedule of the rates, and whatever was the lower, they were permitted to use that, so that the whatever civil services work they wanted to start, they could just start with that, they could initiate with that. The management, the monitoring, evaluation, and research was to increase from 2.2 to 4%. And this again aimed at a better national policy and a better allocation of resources. Now, in the cases of states, they just wanted that the activities, whatever activities were taken care of, were implemented by the state and the government, should never create a hindrance or an obstacle in the role played by the these authorities. So they wanted a betterment, they wanted a better upliftment of the state as well as the schools that were getting dues from them. So the central sponsored schemes of secondary education, information and communication technology for the schools, the girls' hostels, education for disabled, vocational institutions, they were all made even more important and necessary. Then the school was supposed to include a better infrastructure, betterment in the teachers' salaries and the staff salaries so that everybody would work orderly and in a better manner. They wanted to continue to take the share from the center. It was the center and state share was 50 to 50. But they wanted to take a better and a higher share from the center, that is 75%. Then they wanted to integrate a plan which included all the schemes that were sponsored by the central government of the secondary education. They wanted the funds to be released to the state so that all the components could be implemented in a better manner. So the Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan 2009 was integrated, and it was a comprehensive program in which the government of India aimed at achieving universal secondary education. Then comes the Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act. So the Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act 2009 is also known as RTE, and this was a revolutionary step. This was a step that actually led to the betterment and to the better development and progress of the students and to ensure that education was supplied to all. This act was passed on by the parliament. According to this act, every child between the age of 6 to 14 years was supposed to be given free and elementary education, compulsory education to be given to each and everybody who ranged from 6 to 14 years. This was also stated in the 86th Constitution Amendment Act via the Article 21A. Then this act also aimed at the fact that the government schools should provide free education to all the children, and the government school was managed by the SMC, that is the School Management Committee. The private schools should admit at least 25% of their schools who were not in a position to pay any fees. The National Commission of Elementary Education was constituted to look into the various aspects of elementary education, including the quality of education which was given to the students. The main features of RTE were free and compulsory education to all the children of India in the age group 6 to 14 years. No child could be detained, everybody was to pass. If a child was above 6 years of age and had not been admitted in any school or could not has not been admitted in any school, he could not complete his or her elementary education. Then what happened? The child was supposed to be admitted into the class which was appropriate to his or her age. However, if the child was directly admitted in the class which was appropriate to his or her age, therefore, if the education level of the child should be in order, then special training should be given to such children as well. Also, the children admitted to the elementary schools should be entitled to free education till the time they complete elementary education, even after 14 years. Now, what was the proof of the age for admission? So, for the purpose of getting admission into elementary education, the age of the child was decided on the basis of the birth certificate. Then, you know, according as per the provision of Births, Deaths, and Marriages Registration Act, or on the basis of any other document which was prescribed under the Act. Then, apart from that, a child who has completed the elementary education was to be awarded with a certificate. There was a fixed teacher student ratio, and one could not exceed that. 25% of the seats in the school were to be reserved for the economically weaker society. There was always a scope for quality improvement in the school. The school teachers could be hired only with adequate professional degrees. School infrastructure needs to be updated and improved every 3 years. The financial burden of the school was to be shared by both state and the central government. So, with this, my dear students, we come to the end of this chapter. I hope the chapter was clear to you. We learned about all the educational acts and their impact on the educational system of the country.